Hey folks, Connor from Nice Wheels here. Today we're going to do a comparison video between two very similar single-speed e-bikes. We've got the Populo Sport and the Easy Motion Easy Go Race. So in this comparison video, we'll be comparing four major topics about each of the bikes. All of the components that the bikes have, the electronics, so that includes the motors, batteries, and displays, the design of the bike, as well as the company's warranties that are behind each bike. So first, let's run through some of the components that both of these bikes have. We'll start in the cockpit area, where both are going to have a 31.8 stem clamp diameter, and they're both going to have these urban riser bars that are just about the same width. Both bikes have identical grips. You'll just have all black ones on the Populo versus the red and black that you'll get on the Easy Motion. And then when it comes to the rims, you'll have these nice red deep section rims on the Easy Motion versus the all black deep section rims on the Populo. The ones on the Easy Motion are a little bit, there's a little bit more metal to them. So they'll be slightly sturdier, but that also means they'll be a touch heavier in rotational weight. Looking at both of the tires on each of these bikes, they're both going to be 28C, but you'll have a little bit more tread with the Easy Motion versus the slick tire that's on the Populo. And finally, the cranksets on both of these bikes are going to be very similar with an almost exact same gear ratio, but you're going to have a little bit wider of a platform on the pedals on the Populo versus the Easy Motion. So with the Populo, you'll get just a little bit more range. With the Easy Motion, you'll have more likely around 20 miles at its most, and then with the Populo, you'll get up to 30 miles at the most if you're on low pedal assist settings with both of these bikes. Another thing I want to point out about the Populo versus the Easy Motion, when it comes to the motors, even though they're both rated at 250 watts, the Populo feels a little bit zippier than the Easy Motion. The Populo's top speed is also not really capped where you're at a hit the wall point, but it will only take you up to about 18, maybe to 20 miles with pedaling. But you don't get that feeling that you'll get with the Easy Motion, where the bike kind of stops you and the motor will just shut off after 16 miles an hour. Going on to the Easy Motion for a little bit, you do have, although it is a smaller battery, it's definitely a more manageable battery. You get 216 watt hours with this one. And like I said before, it can get you at the most 20 miles. What a lot of people like to do with this bike, because the battery is very easily removable, you can just push a button and slide it right out. And because they're so small, you can take a few of these with you. Usually people will have, two, maybe even three if you want to take this bike for really long distance rides. But they're easily replaceable, and it makes the bike look not very electric at all because you don't have that battery sitting on the down tube. It's not really too obvious that you're riding an e-bike when your battery just looks like a saddlebag. One thing I will say that the Easy Motion definitely has over the Populo is kind of the smoothness and the fluidity to the ride. And that's mainly because they use what's called the TMM4 torque sensor, which is this metal plate right here that really measures and gauges the pressure that you're putting into the pedals. So if you're pushing harder, the motor is going to work harder. If you back off a little bit, the motor will back off. What the Populo uses is called a speed sensor or a cadence sensor, and that's really just going to sense for any motion in the cranks. So as long as the cranks are spinning, the power will be activated to whatever you set it at on the display. When it comes to the ease of use between both of the batteries, the upper hand is definitely going to go to the Easy Motion. You don't have to worry about any keys. You can easily take it off, fit it in most small bags, and carry it with you if you do lock the bike. When it comes to the Populo, you do have a set of keys that you do have to keep a track of if you plan on removing the battery to charge it apart from the bike. But one cool feature that it does have is that right next to the charging port, you do have an extra USB port, so you can actually charge your phone while you're riding with this battery. So we've already touched on some of the design points of the bikes in regards to the battery, but another thing that they do have some differences on is the frame sizing that each of them has. Populo offers 4 different frame sizes for their bikes, so it's definitely easier to fine-tune your fit for a wider range of people for the Populo. But the Easy Motion frame is considered a medium frame by most bike standards. It's an 18-inch frame, so almost exactly the same as the Populo medium frame. The displays of each of the bikes are both pretty easy to use, but you do have kind of an unnecessary amount of pedal assist options when it comes to the Populo. You have your Eco, Normal, and Power modes, which each have 8 pedal assist modes in all of them. So in total you have 24 increments that you can actually adjust and tune your motor to, which to me is kind of an unnecessary amount for a single speed bike. Easy motion, you just have your 4 levels of assist, so it's very easy to use, and the display is also removable. So when you do lock this bike up outside, the motor you can protect by locking it through the rear wheel and the frame, and then you can carry the display and the battery with you. So pretty much all of the electronics are going to be covered and kept safe from harm. Both of these bikes are going to have a very similar riding feel. It'll be a pretty rough ride because they are pretty much solid aluminum frames, although you do have a steel fork on the Easy Motion, which helps a little bit with vibration dampening, but overall it's still going to be pretty rough on your hands. Both of the bikes will definitely have a pretty aggressive riding position as well. The Populo can give you a little bit more motor kick and a little bit more top speed, but the Easy Motion's pedal assist is going to be more fluid and natural feeling. And finally, we'll touch on the warranties of both of these bikes. So with the Populo Sport, you'll have a lifetime warranty on the frame, as well as 2 years on the electronics, which is a pretty good warranty that's very standard as far as e-bikes go in the industry today. The Easy Go race is going to have Easy Motion's warranty, which right now is the best in the business. You'll have 5 years on all of the parts, that includes the frame, even the motor and the display. You'll have 2 years on your battery, which is very standard in the industry. And you'll also have what's pretty unique is 1 year of warranted labor. So if you did need to warranty any of the parts on the bike within the first year, Easy Motion will cover the labor that a shop would charge to have parts replaced or have anything swapped out. So which bike is better for you? Well, we've narrowed it down to 4 main points to consider when you're deciding between each of these bikes. First, when it comes to performance, the Populo definitely has the edge. You get a little bit more range, you get a little bit more power, and even higher top speed. Next is going to be ease of use. That's going to go to the Easy Motion, mainly just because you have such an easy to remove battery and display. It makes the bike very convenient to use. So if you're still going on pretty short trips with it, you can lock it up, take those components inside with you in a bag, even have multiple batteries in the bag if you want because they're so small and light. I would definitely have to give the edge to the Easy Motion. The last 2 points are going to be price and warranty. Well, the Populo is definitely going to win on price. It is $9.99 versus the Easy Go race, which is $12.99, but you do get a much better and longer warranty with the Easy Motion than you do with the Populo Sport. So the best way for you to decide which bike is going to work best for you, I would say pick 3 of those points that you value most and see which bike comes out on top. As always, thanks so much for watching this review. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, as well as turn on your notifications to let you know when we release new videos.